My name is Mark Miner. I am an investigative writer and author. In my travels, I've investigated many people and places. Watch as I seek out stories that are typically outside of the box of normal. I am the Seeker. Hi guys, so we are back at Camp Adair today because we are going to go take a look at, excuse me, I'm a little out of breath, to the Beaumark Missile Facility. It's just one of them that's in this area. I think there's like 3 or 4 that's in a wide area around here, but this one here was the very first one put in. So I will give you some statistics on it, but I want to get to the site first so you guys can see. So we have a lot of cement here, and they use for like trucks to bring the missiles in. And these are pretty scary missiles. I mean, they're not like, you know, of course this was in 1957, but they had some pretty state-of-the-art missiles back then. So right here is the control. Well, I guess you can say, you can't say control tower, but it's a control station. So, this is where they would shoot off the missiles. None of this out here, none of this weeds and growth were here. It was just one big open area. So this is where they would come in and shoot the missiles off. I'll show you the inside. I've been here before, I'm sure you guys recognize it if you're a regular viewer. So here's the inside. So that window over there is where they would stand and watch the missiles go off. So that was the main windows, because over that way is where the missiles are at. So we'll go over there and check it out, and then we'll come back here. So this took me years to figure out what it was, and with a lot of research I found out. So yeah, so this, yeah, like I said, this used to all be cemented. Here, let's just go through this brush. Alright. So this is where the missiles came out. So it has changed over the years quite a bit. I actually have pictures of this years ago. So this is where the missiles came out of. So right there was where the missiles shot up out of. This whole thing lifts up and the missiles come out of. And these, I'm not quite sure what these were for. So it was, I believe those smaller ones might have been, but that's all pretty much cemented in. This one is not. So here's the controls for it. Looks like it used to go down quite further because there's a light there. But that is the system where the missiles were. Now here's another one here that used to be open, and it looks like someone covered it or filled it in with dirt. I do have pictures of this where it was completely open, which I'm going to show you guys. So also, okay, so let's get the information out for you guys. Okay. All right. Oops, sorry guys. Trying to do all this one-handed. Okay. So this is the Beaumark Adair Air Force Missile Facility. In 1957, Camp Adair became Adair Air Force Station and SAGE, S-A-G-E, which stands for Semi-Automatic Ground Environment Air Defense System. Support Facility, anticipating the construction of a CIM-10 Beaumark Launch Facility. Semi-Automatic Ground Environment Lockheed D-21, surface-to-air missiles. So that's where why this was built. Like I said, there are 3 or 4 other places around Oregon that's pretty close to this that have these cement launch pads. And anyways, I am going to include a picture on here of the missile. It's not what you think. It's not like the tiny ones. These things are humongous. Oops. And it would shoot up into the air and shoot down. It was like a heat sensing. And so it was a what they call it, surface to air missiles, which means it just shot in the air. So these things had a range. Let me tell you, they were really, really, really impressive. These missiles are what you think of what we got today, but it's not. This was back in 1957. The missiles we have today are just incredible. Like, they're smaller, they have more of an impact, they're more heat seeking. I mean, to escape a lot of the missiles today is a miracle. These here, you had some chance of shooting down and the such like that. So that's the Beaumark Adair Air Force Station and SAGE Support Facility. And these were the missiles. So, also you might be thinking, why is it such a big deal? Well, I'll tell you why it's such a big deal. Because we have towns very close to this. So we have, oh, let me get through these weeds. So we have Monmouth, that's that over that way. We have Corvallis, that's over this way. We have Albany, that's over this way. And then we have farming community over this way. So you're right in the middle of this town, and all these towns, and they're shooting off missiles. So again, you're probably thinking, what's the big idea? So what's the big deal? Well, where other countries know where your Western missile defense systems are at, you are #1 of being bombed. I mean, they want to get rid of those, right? So that's why I say it's a big deal. So, but here's the other thing. So here is the back of this place. Looks like a hot water heater was in here, but a lot of wiring. So the other thing too is, so the Beaumark system was put in place. They brought the missiles out, they put the missiles in, and then funding was cut. So they closed it down. Well, they had already built all this stuff out here. Oh, that's creepy. So they thought, what can we do with it? So what they did is they installed huge electromagnetism magnets. Does that make sense? I don't know how else to say that. Into that place I just showed you with the missiles. And they emitted, they put some power behind this magnet, this huge, I think there's like 3 of them, these huge magnets, and they emitted so much electromagnetism in the area. And the reason for that is because they wanted to see the effects of humans with electromagnetism. And so what they did was they went and tested people without them knowing why, and these people were affected. They got cancer, they had migraines, they had leukemia, you name it, it was done. So they shut it down. The public was totally unaware what they were doing, and yeah, so now it just lays to ruins. So there's the Bomarc missile system. I find it very interesting that they had such a major system in the area, and not many people knew why, or not many people knew really. All right, guys. So I'm gonna let you go here. I'm gonna go over miles away from here to show you the Air Force base that was built and the building that held the missiles. Okay? So I'm gonna let you go, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye. All right, guys. So we're back. Actually at the place where the Air Force used to be in 1957 when they came and took over. It was the Adair Air Force Base. So here is the building here. That is the large building. This is where they held the missiles for the Bomarc missile system. And right now it's just used as a community center and you know, just whatever for the town of Adair. So the town of Adair is actually now well, it's got like cafe, it's got a school, it's got a fire department, it's got there's a junior high and then high school and all the such like that. So, but these are all old. This is the old base. This is all the old buildings from the base that was here before, for the Air Force Base. And the Air Force didn't stay too long after the Bomarc system was unfunded. So, oh, so these are schools now. These are private schools. Not quite sure if I'm allowed to film on here, but we're gonna go through and look at all the old buildings. And so I could totally see this being like a base, Air Force base. A lot of you don't know that I did serve in the Navy. Not for long, but I did. And this reminds me very much of Great Lakes Naval Base. So as you can see, these must have been like administrative buildings and the such. There's one back here that's kind of interesting. They're all pretty much the same. Yeah, see, they look like just administrative buildings and everything like that. Yeah, I don't know if these were actual barracks. There are some buildings on here that is the barracks of the old Camp Adair, but that is an old past video that we did. So I think some of these other buildings are pretty new. But you can totally see how these are very government based for the Air Force that was here in 1957. And I'm not quite sure what year the Air Force moved off of here, but it was a couple of years, I think, that they were on here. I'm gonna walk over here and show you that back there. Let me see if I can. That is the old smokestack to Camp Adair, where they would set off ammunition. Camp Adair was quite large. So anyway, so there it is. This was the old Air Force station. So it's weird how people are driving on the sidewalks. I guess you're allowed to. But all right, so there's your history right there. And I got a little more information to let you guys know about what the Air Force did while they were on here. One of those is how they turned the old Army base hospital into, well, I guess it was still a hospital, but it's also for mental patients that were in the service. People who have, you know, what we now know as PTSD or mental problems. So they took over for that. But I'll give you some more information on that. The hospital no longer stands. They tore that down many years ago, probably about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So this base here has been here for 70 something years. I mean, when they build them well. So anyways, there it is, guys. So I hope you enjoyed, and I guess I'm going to sign off here. So I'll show you all the information before all this ending and stuff like that, and I will let you go. So remember, stay weird. Remember, if you're local in Albany, Corvallis, and such, go out to Camp Adair about this time of year, which is like September, and you can pick some apples and pick some blackberries, which is what I did today while I was out there. So anyways, remember to stay weird. Remember to stay weird, and we'll see you on the next adventure. Don't forget to